Hello, my name is Justin Littlewood, and this vodcast is based on the analysis of an article entitled Teaching Group Work, Modeling Group Leader and Member Behaviors in the Classroom to Demonstrate Group Theory. This vodcast is going to be investigating the topic of teaching and learning through group work, how important and vital it can be to a student's learning, and also how effectively we can utilize group work to make it more beneficial to both teachers and students alike. It's entitled Teaching and Learning Through Group Work. Teaching and Learning Through Group Work. It has been stated that effective teachers know how to use groups, how to compose them, how large to make them, and how to monitor them. Hopefully this podcast will be able to assist you in knowing how to use groups effectively. Group work is always perceived as a fairly risky option when deciding the best approach to teach a particular topic. Some of the negatives that can occur as a result of group work are unproductivity, where students have the potential to avoid doing work or completing the task given. Also straying from task or topic, where students can intentionally or unintentionally deter from the task at hand. Also, there could be some conflicting relationships, where two or more students have a previous or present conflict that is accentuated due to working in a group. And lastly, there could be varied levels of contribution or commitment, where students can potentially take responsibility over too many of the roles, or they could fail to fill a particular role, or just avoid doing anything altogether. All of these could have a significantly negative impact on the efficiency of the group. One of the probable solutions to many of these issues is through the conscious use of modeling techniques. Many students have proved to be vicarious learners, which means they learn through the observation of others, which can potentially be a very powerful and effective method of learning. Modeling techniques strongly implement such a style of learning, just as simply as a child who has never learned to talk can learn just by watching their parents. In the same way, a student can learn content through the modeling or the leadership of another. The model does not always necessarily have to teach by doing the same thing, but can also adopt a leadership role. In the scenario of a classroom, the model can either be a student or the teacher. In the case where the model is a teacher, it is up to the teacher to ensure the success and productivity of the groups. It is always recommended to, despite the size of the class, to separate into smaller groups. This subtle technique helps to include all members of the group and provides a less threatening environment where students can connect with each other without feeling excluded. The model teacher can help prevent the potential negatives of group work, as discussed before, such as the negative of unproductivity and straying from task or topic. They can use encouraging words and behavior management techniques in order to keep students on task and keep the discussions on topic. In terms of conflicting relationships, the teacher should be somewhat aware of any present or past conflicting relationships, or even some that could potentially happen in a group, and they should aim to prevent these types of people from being in the same group. In terms of varied levels of contribution or achievement, once again, through supervision and encouragement, the teacher should try and promote an equal amount of contribution within the group. The teacher can also, or should also, assist the student leader of the group, who also has a very important role in ensuring the success. In the case where the model is the student, for a positive and productive achievement to result from group work, it is critical to have a leader in the group. In a classroom situation, one of the students will obviously assume this role, whether by the teacher appointing a leader or by the groups themselves selecting a leader. The chosen student portrays a very important part in avoiding the potential negatives of group work. Once again, unproductivity. Students' leaders must ensure that the group spends their time efficiently and effectively. If they are straying from task or topic, the student leader has the responsibility to try and keep all the discussion and work on topic. Even though group discussion is useful and contribution is appreciated, it is important that all this remains on task. In terms of conflicting relationships, obviously the teacher should have already been aware of previous or potential ones. However, it is possible that some conflicts will rise during the group's activities, and it is the student leader's job to depress such conflicts with the teacher's assistance if necessary. If there are varied levels of contribution or achievement, the student should encourage equal contribution and create an atmosphere of inclusion within the group. There are also some techniques that can be modelled by the group leader to further aid group work. The model can construct a list of tasks to be completed by the group as to motivate productivity. After the model asks a question, even after it's answered once, it is important to silently wait for others to participate. This technique will be able to model an idea of patience and a willingness to hear others' views, which is obviously important in a group. The model must also be aware that even if consensus can be reached early by just a few more assertive voices, it is important to include and consider the opinions of the less assertive members of the group. Another very important asset to have in a group is the value of trust. Trust is a very key component in the early stages of most groups. Even if members of the group are acquainted with each other prior to the activity, there will still be some form of hesitance or uncertainty to the expectations and competency of fellow group members. Students will wait for others' input, only talk to familiar faces, and they'll ask minimal questions. Building trust can prevent this from commonly occurring and can also act as a form of motivation as the group bonds. Trust also has the potential to allow emotional involvement to become part of the group's discussion. Even though this is a good thing and can be very beneficial to learning, it is important to make sure that there is not too much emotional involvement, as this can be harmful for certain students. In conclusion, modelling and leadership can be incredibly effective in improving and utilising group work. The teacher, as a model and learner, must actively be aware of the potential risks and negatives of group work and aim to deflate such risks. The teacher must also assist the student leader in performing their role as a critical axis of the group. This can be done by taking the group leaders aside and discussing with them their role. At the beginning of a group lesson, you could take students aside and then let them know of the potential risks and their responsibility to prevent such risks. This responsibility can instill motivation in students. Trust within the group can easily develop a successful and a cognitive-minded functional environment. Group work is extremely effective. If performed correctly and used at appropriate times, it will work wonders. Allow group work to become a more possible teaching strategy into your lessons.